Okay, the last one, and I would encourage you if you haven't seen it yet. I did a piece that was about the Because 50 series in the overall. I mean, the thing that covered. I want our worship leaders and our worship teams to understand what the entire series is really all about, and it is very specific to worship, extravagant worship in the modern world, dealing with modern world problems and becoming enthusiastic, passionate, confident believers in the modern world with all the modern world challenges. Now, Easter specifically is going to set up that problem. So as a worship team, you want to do traditional Easter. And when I say that, what I mean by that is Easter's celebration day. Easter is upbeat day. Easter is about the resurrection, the conquering of death. It should be positive, upbeat, celebration, 4th of July kind of stuff. But on the other hand, I would love it if worship teams and worship leaders would talk out of their specific problems and challenges with knowing this stuff that's so awesome, but having a hard time translating it into the modern world. Whether you struggle with connecting your spiritual life to your job, or you're raising your kids. You're just so busy. You're running your kids around their school activities, their soccer games, and you've got food to put on the table. You've got all these different things happening at a very, very fast speed. And so it'll be that balance between that celebration, but at the same time admitting to the frustrations that we can have as believers. And so, because that's what the whole series is about, because what I'm going to be doing is articulating the problem and then talking about the solution. And real quickly, just so you'll know, I've got 5 Ds that mark the modern world that keep us from being extravagant worshipers. I don't know if I'm going to keep the 5, but at this point, they are distance. Number 1, distance. Distance is, we live in the world of this, talk about time distance. We live in the world of space shuttles and iPhones. They lived in the world of riding donkeys and wearing sandals and that sort of stuff. And so sometimes the ancient world connecting to the modern world is a little bit unrelatable. Distraction. That's that speed thing. That's that, I mean, we have gobs of information coming at us from all levels. And that's a very unique thing to the modern world, unlike any other time in the history of the world so far. There's doubt. There's a lot of sophisticated doubts out there. We live in the post-Enlightenment world. We live in a world that attacks the Bible in pop culture and film and documentaries and Netflix and things like that. In our colleges, there's a lot of doubt thrown on the resurrection and all the other things that are relevant. So there's a lot of, we struggle with doubt. There's what I would call disconnection. And that is just this basic thing of we have a religious life, and then we have our real life. And it's been pointed out that modern people compartmentalize their lives more than any other people that have ever lived, because the real world is the world of science and technology and the things that we all accept as the real world. We compartmentalize our religious life to where I love Jesus and I'll kind of want to come worship him, but I don't really have a real connection going on in my work life or in my family life with my, what I would label my spiritual life. So that's a real problem. And then finally, there's dryness. Dryness is that sense of, Jesus can easily be words on a page. He can easily be, just a historical figure almost. And if we come into church, if we're really being honest, sometimes we don't feel like we're really in tune with God, or we really have an experience of the presence of God. And people are longing for that sense from in the New Testament. It seemed like God was very present with them. And sometimes now it seems like it's not quite that way. So we're going to set up the problem on Easter. So again, as a worship team, you're doing a twofold thing. Number 1, you're celebrating the fact that Jesus rose again from the dead. But number 2, you're acknowledging the struggle with that in the modern world, because that's where Because 50 is going. So I would love it if you would do that combination of those two. Talk out of your own life, talk out of your own struggles, but at the same time acknowledge the free and the celebration of what Christ did on the cross and his resurrection from the dead.